Hello everyone. Welcome. Happy Thursday. Happy summer. I am so in celebration of the summer solstice this week and stepping into the summer vibes. And we've been having extreme sun here in Switzerland, lots of really warm temps. So, for those of us that are into gardening, we have been out getting water on the gardens, checking on those plants. And the other thing that I am celebrating, which some of you who have been in this space for a while might have heard hints about, and those of you who are new will have heard nothing about, is that I have chosen and been given the opportunity to share my story, part of my garden story, in a wonderful new anthology that is a collaboration of 31 authors. And the book is called Inspired Journeys, and it is going to be released on Amazon next Monday, June 27th. So I am just thrilled to have my garden story coming out into the world. But what I'm also really excited about is the fact that it is a collaboration and that there are so many more valuable stories and inspiring stories in this book. And so today I'm really honored to have one of the fellow authors here with me, and she will be introducing herself, and we're here to answer questions that you have about the book and tell you a little bit more of what to expect and why you want to add this to your summer reading list, because it's really going to be a powerful book. Hearing these stories from women is so important in the times that we are facing right now. And so I really want to highlight here in the Organic Gardening Connection why this book matters and why our stories as women matter, and how these stories can impact and enhance and elevate really important global initiatives for change, for sustainability. And for those of you that know me, one of my dear passionate topics, regeneration, right? Because I'm always talking about how we actually need to step beyond sustainability. We can't sustain our way out of the problems we're facing as a global society right now. We need to do better. And so that is what these stories are really about, is ways that women are stepping up and doing better in their communities, in their lives, in their families. And so I've just had a great honor to be a part of this book. And I'm really so excited for the release on Monday. What you can do right now, if you already know you want to add this to your summer reading list, you can join our wait list. So you just go to the inspiredjourneysbook.com. I'll put the link in the chat for everybody. And it's a really simple process. You just enter your name, your email. You will not be spammed. I've been assured of this. You're just going to be sent a link as soon as the book is available for purchase on Amazon. And then you'll be able to go and get it for the price of 95 cents. So this is really amazing when you consider how many women we are supporting and elevating and empowering with this publication, that your contribution of 95 cents actually goes to help about 100 women. So if you can spare a penny for me and a penny for Michelle and a penny for all the other women that are involved in this project, we would be so grateful. So make sure you get on the wait list to receive the link. Make sure you are ready on Monday to purchase the book. And then you will get to know a little bit more about my garden story. So we here in the Organic Gardening Connection have grown by about 50 people or so in the last few weeks. And as a group of 650, that's actually a considerable amount. So I do want to take just a moment to introduce myself for those of you that haven't had the chance to meet me. Last year, I was doing a lot of free workshops, a lot of garden design training, community learning events. And in this new year, I have been focused on actually being out in the gardens with private clients. And I've also been focusing on my personal development, such as contributing my story to this book. So you haven't been seeing me here live in the group as much, but I can tell you that I am certainly active and always rooting for you and your gardens and wanting to see you embrace the this kind of organic regeneration that is possible when we work together, when we learn together. And I always say, our gardens are like a quilt, right? And when you join your patch to my patch, we quilt together this healing blanket of regeneration that can spread all over the world. So that is a little bit about me. My name is Dev Rivers. I am your hostess here in the Organic Gardening Connection, and I am one of the authors in the Inspired Journeys book, coming out on Monday, available for the waitlist right now. And another author is Michelle, who is here with us today, and I will let her do her introduction because I feel like she can use her own words and tell us a little bit more about why this book is so exciting for sustainability, for women, for global change. And Michelle, why don't you take it away?
Wow, what an incredible introduction. What an incredible encapsulation of your very important work on regenerative gardening and permaculture. I know that you're a soil expert. I know lots about you, and I'm sure that as a member of the community, that we can learn and grow together and garden together. And I love the analogy of the eclectic blanket because, in fact, when we're reading women's stories, that's essentially what we've quilted for you. So I come from sports originally, my background, and I'm a coach. I'm a trainer. With my business partner, Denise Nickerson, we are the founders of this concept. And with our third editor, that is Esther Berkey, we conceived of this book and this idea exactly for all of the reasons you've just so articulately mentioned. Women's economic empowerment is the backbone of Women Rock Switzerland. Women Rock Switzerland is a Facebook group of now approximately 12,000 members, all living in or very nearby Switzerland. And it is a group of people who share Switzerland as a common bond, and also this idea that women's economic empowerment really matters, that women's visibility matters, that we can mentor, reverse mentor, and elevate one another through exactly methods like you're displaying and teaching me about how to showcase your business in a fun, friendly, informal way, how to grow together. And through stories, which is really the backbone of any influence, any motivation, any aspect of leadership. Stories are narrative is what compels us and moves us all forward. It's what makes us memorable. It's what makes it possible for others to talk about us when we're not in the room. So job seekers are practicing stories, influencers are practicing stories, and we see in the artificial intelligence around the world that there is just a dearth of women's voices, whether that is women's participation in athletics and sports. Denise and I have coached over 100 professional and Olympic sports coaches and elite athletes in our work with SALT Consulting and Communications, which is a training and development company. We design and deliver programming and learning programs and workshops and labs and things like this. We also have our own products and services like Integrity Works, a 12-week group coaching program that's available online, and the Integrity System. But I'm here today to talk about the importance of sharing women's stories and feminine leadership in general. We know that the systems are broken. We know that they need to change. We know that if the world were healthy, then we would hear from women in equal measure, and men and women and all genders would read women. And I was just so touched. And in fact, I'm going to share it on my wall. There's an article that I recently read that only 19% of the readers of the top selling female authors, women like Margaret Atwood, like famous names of all time, the top 10 best-selling women authors, only 9% of their readership are men. And so the question is, why does the world not view women's stories as human stories? Why are our heroines not the heroes of our time? Why in my childhood could I reach for very few heroes as a child growing up who were actual women? The visibility is just lacking. Why? Denise Nickerson's husband, Laurent, he's a feminist, and he was so furious when he realized that his greatest sport, football, the greatest players of all time, the greatest leading scorers of all time are women, and he didn't know about that. And that is not a fault on his curiosity. That is a fault of a societal ill that has diminished or erased our voices. So in this book, not only do we have 31 female authors coming from Women Rock Switzerland who are sharing not just their accomplishments, right? We're going for the root of and the depth of story. And so that means we have people sharing very intimate portraits of very challenging times, whether that is going through a legal situation, a high conflict divorce, whether that is facing abuse, whether that's crossing a border and beginning a new life, no matter in what status. We have survivor stories, we have poor diagnosis stories, we have all different kinds of the human experience stories that are encapsulated and told in their own language, in their own style, all in English, but not hyper edited, not hyper edited at all. We wanted women's voices to actually be on the pages that you would hear. Also in this book, there are over 70 advertisements, all invited participation by women-owned businesses. We know how, if you want to change the world, you actually need to change your buying habits and your consumer habits. So we wanted to inspire and invite people to buy from women and hire women and change. If you're in a big corporation and you take a look at who are my service providers and you realize that there's a gender divide there too, we want to excite and invite you, global audience, to change and expand that reach and seek out some women suppliers. And lastly, I just wanted to say that, yes, Denise Nickerson is the visionary leader behind this concept of informal networking and caring spaces for women. We know that formal networks and mentoring programs, they absolutely do advance, but they don't do nearly as much for women as informal networks like the Women Rock Switzerland community that Denise has conceived and every day nurtured with posting content and curation. And so I'm delighted that when we talk about sustainable action, we're talking about contributions from our introductions in the book that are really going to elevate us all. So psychoanalyst and author Patricia Elwood has introduced our book. She's rather famous as an author and a Jungian psychologist. And she talks about the reason and power and need and hunger for the feminine and how all genders benefit when we hear and include more feminine. And and climate activist Elise Buckle is also in our book. She's a Swiss national, former politician, and with these two voices, I really feel that the book has essentially been blessed, and I hope that we have across all channels and all communications and all spaces that we have this regeneration, right? The ability to help our stories have wings and spread around the world. And I think an ebook is a great way to do that because it eliminates the cost of a heavy book on both planet, paper, and economies. The book will be beautiful and it will come out late in the year. Right now, we're going to be promoting this ebook because for 95 cents, many people in the world, billions of people in the world can afford a 95-cent purchase to uplift and elevate the voices and presence and visibility of nearly 100 women. So with that, I'll turn it back to you. I just love that if we read women's stories, we can better nurture ourselves. We can share women's stories to nurture others. And I think that is a link to regeneration in our gardens. Self-nurturing and promotion ties right back in.
Absolutely. And I loved what you said. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. I was really thinking, as you were talking about, the social fabric, right? And the systems being broken. I mean, this is the heart of permaculture, right? It is a systems design, right? So in our gardens, that translates to creating a closed energy loop, producing no waste, reusing resources. But when we also look at the element of social permaculture, which people aren't as familiar with, but this is the way we apply the permaculture principles to our lives and to social systems. And so this for me is why this is so important, because the systems are broken, as Michelle was describing. And I think many of us in our hearts and our minds and our daily lives, we experience this, whether we are thwarted in our efforts, whether we're put down for the way we think, whether we are not given credit for our ideas, however you are experiencing this, I really see the listening, the active listening through reading, through engaging with this material as a way to say, I can imagine a new system, right? I can also design a new system for my life, whether you use permaculture or whether you use a regenerative concept. But it's this idea that we can create change. And the more we listen to women, the more we hear stories, we also realize that we're not alone, that women are out there doing this work already. And then what you said about, the way that we spend our money is really a vote, right? It's a vote for, I want a new system. I want a new way of being. I want a new earth that is healthy, and I am proud and excited to leave for my children. And so 95 cents is a great way, as Michelle said, a really accessible way for you to make a small vote for this kind of change, right? And that's why I think it's so important. Because, just to wrap up and recap what you said there, Michelle, I think it is a way to connect with our gardens, to honor the feminine, to honor the land, that we are not the owners. We are the stewards of whatever piece of land we have. I have an urban garden. I am in a rental. I have a small space. Lots of people think because I teach permaculture and because I teach gardening, I have acres, and I don't. I really have a small urban space. But this kind of grassroots movement, right? The old woman who walks by my garden and smiles because she sees a flower blooming, or I just had an old gentleman come by the other day and he gave me a hug and he leaned in and he said, I'm really sorry. I take a few bay leaves every time I walk by. And what is so great about gardens is that abundance is there, right? And so when we tap into the natural abundance that is around us, we are able to give, we are able to share out. And so that is where I would say, please, if you need some inspiration, if you need to believe in things being possible, if you need some hope that we're out here doing good work, I can assure you that this book will be well worth your purchase, well worth the 95 cents, and well worth the time for you to take in these women's stories and to elevate them. And if I can, Michelle, I'd love to just share one last idea in this concept of elevation, because those of you who know me, you know that I am working in permaculture, and predominantly this is a male-led industry. There are a lot of initiatives which are led by men and fewer that are led by women. And supporting a book like this is giving somebody like me an opportunity to make a TED Talk, or to be in Zero Waste Switzerland's campaign and to give a speech in public, for more people to realize that this work is being done and ways that they can support it and ways that our communities can get involved. And this kind of community involvement, doing it together, is what will really bring the healing and the regeneration. So I just want to remind you again, you can get on the wait list now, and the Inspired Journeys anthology and business directory will be available on Monday. And if you get on that wait list, you will have the link as soon as we do. So I am planning, those of you that have shared your email and you're on my email list, thank you. I will also be sending you the link so that you can support my story. But if you would like to comment here as well, Michelle is part of our organic gardening connection. I actually just was thinking of you because I used the basil plant you gave me last month to make a salad this week. And I used some rosemary in a workshop that I was teaching last week. And so we really are connected. And if you have any questions for us, Michelle Guiliano and Denise Nickerson are both in this community. Just comment here, tag us, send us a DM. We'd love to chat with you. We'd love to answer any questions that you might have. And we'd love to just hear from you about what this book means to you, or maybe what story resonated with you. So let's make this not a monologue, but a dialogue and a place where we can come together, learn together, share together. And I thank you for being here. I thank you, those of you, I've seen people popping in and out live. Thank you for coming and spending a few minutes with us to gather, set this intention, and help us to make this book an Amazon bestseller, which is our goal, so that we can elevate all of the women involved, all of the businesses, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and also initiatives, because there are some people that don't have a business, but they still have a powerful story to tell. So I hope you will enjoy the book. Michelle, do you have any last comments for people before we sign off today?
It's a plea, really. It's a plea because you mentioned the words zero waste. And one of the things that happens with communities that are in transit, like Switzerland is a very interesting place where 2,150,000 of us are foreign born permanent residents without official status. And that comprises about 25% of the population. And there are some terrible words around people who are trailing spouses. Women are often the waste product of an international move, as opposed to the leading the charge of that international move. And we have all kinds in our communities and all kinds in our spaces. But let's not let women or women's stories be part of the waste. Let's make sure that we are reusing, recycling, fertilizing, elevating, uplifting, and picking that up. It made me think about Evelyn Bermudez, who is one of the contributing authors, who actively combats in order to build. In her professional life, I know that she has returners work in order to capture any male or female, any gender person who has had a career break for any reason, whether childbearing reason or health reason, caregiving reason of an elder, doesn't matter the reason, we need to be able to return to work in the way that we left it before or make that career transition. And this is one of the byproducts of that caregiving role that so often globally women are bearing the burden of, not compensated for, as the World Economic Forum will show us in numbers per country, and not appreciated or rewarded for. And so your 95-cent purchase, this is my plea, your 95-cent purchase is casting a vote for women's stories all over the world. And if we become an Amazon bestseller, that'll be direct response to your contribution. So I hope that 650 people add their names to the email address provided in the chat at inspiredjourneysbook.com, so that we can not miss you, right? It's so hard in social media to drop a link and think anybody's going to ever see it. But with an email address, we know that we can send it out to you, and you can make that 95-cent Amazon purchase, feel really good about yourself, that you're supporting not economically 31 women, but exactly as Dev said. In fact, all the profits of this book are going to charitable causes that support women. So no one author in this book is going to profit in any way. In fact, we all are looking for our stories to spread and to reach hearts and minds and to get access to bigger stages or greater opportunities in our career and in our work and in our purpose and in all of our passion projects. So your vote counts in helping us all, 31 of us, potentially becoming Amazon bestsellers, which means if we get to go on Oprah, we get to go on the Brene Brown Dare to Lead, or any of our favorite podcasts or interviews around the world, that's how they'll introduce us, as Amazon bestselling author Dev Rivers. And we want that for her, and we want that for 31 total female authors, contributors to this book. And it absolutely provides platform and agency and following for us to go to other publishers, make future books, and get new traction. And we want that for women. The AI has to improve in terms of finding us and finding our voices and giving us the media attention that we absolutely have earned and deserve, in order to change that world and put more balance, right? It's not only about feminine leadership, it's about creating a more balanced world that men and women and all genders benefit from. This is what we need.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Dev. What an incredible meeting.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Michelle, for your time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will be putting the links in the chat. We'll be following up with you. And I would love to know when you purchase the book what you think about my garden story, because I'm not going to tell you what's in it. I've shared a little bit about it here in the group before, but if you want all the details of how I really used gardening to overcome a lot of the obstacles that I faced in moving to Switzerland, and how I have embraced regenerative change and design of my own life, then I invite you to click on that link on Monday, and we will be letting you know when it is live. Thank you so much, everyone. We will see you probably in the coming days for some more author introductions, and I would love to see you here. So thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are. And
Go
let's
help Dev
go.
become a bestseller.
Awesome. Thank you. See you next time, everybody.